$75 million will be lent to the Australian Industry Development Corporation, $10 million goes to the Australian National Line, and $15 million to the state's Housing Assistance Program. You're watching Channel 7 Eyewitness News. We'll be back with you in a few moments.
Wow, that's old. In fact, it's one of the oldest original home recordings of an Australian television broadcast. And we're looking at it right now. Well, not now, after the opening titles. Hello and welcome to VHS Revue. Today's tape is another U-matic one from Rhys Marshall, who runs the Flemish dog collection on the Internet Archive. And just like George Burns or Betty White, this is a very special one, mainly because it's so old. It contains a recording of Brisbane's Channel 7 Eyewitness News from the 13th of June 1975. Apparently it belonged to a guy who ran an electronics store in Queen Street Mall, which specialised in video equipment. The tape itself has spent most of its life in a farm shed before being acquired by Rhys around 2013. It only runs for 17 minutes and 43 seconds, but boy, it's a fascinating glimpse into a very different time on Australian television. We're all familiar with TV news. It's the most popular kind of television we produce here in Australia. But if you wanted to make it as a news anchor back in 1975, you needed to be in an entirely different league. This is raw, hardcore TV news reading. No auto cue, no cutting away to pre-recorded video, just a man with a moustache and words on a page.
CSIRO scientists and staff members have stepped up their protest about the proposed transfer of the Minerals Research and Solar Energy units to the Department of Minerals and Energy. Strongly worded telegrams were sent today to the Prime Minister, Mr Whitlam, and the Acting Minister for Science, Dr Moss Cass. They called on the government to reverse its decision, to strengthen the existing structure of the CSIRO, and to hold top-level urgent discussions on the move. The Executive Chairman of the CSIRO, Dr Price, has already said the move could destroy Australia's highly respected CSIRO.
Did you get all that? Bit harder to take in the key points without some sort of text graphic or a soundbite or even a few seconds of overlay vision just to break up the monotony. This next story does have some location footage, but man, this guy's voice just pierces through me like a laser. Just hearing him, I feel like I'm in trouble for something.
You're watching Channel 7 Eyewitness News. The who's who of Australian racing gathered at City Hall this morning on the eve of Brisbane's premier sprint race, the Stradbroke Handicap. The occasion was the first civic reception held in Brisbane to mark the start of the Winter Racing Carnival. At the function were officials of the Queensland Turf Club and Brisbane Amateur Turf Club, and local and interstate owners, trainers and jockeys. Deputy Lord Mayor Alderman Brian Walsh, in welcoming the guests, said the racing industry provided a lot of finance and tourism for the city. Chairman of the QTC, Sir Douglas Wadley, replied by saying that although prize money for this year's carnival had been cut, there would still be more than $750,000 distributed during the carnival.
That anchor is Brian Cahill, who was actually the original newsreader for Channel 7 when the Brisbane station opened in 1959. Of course, that's less impressive when you remember it was only 16 years earlier. The host with the mo is Mike Higgins. Also notice both hosts are wearing white jackets, possibly to disguise the fact they're holding up paper scripts. A little unusual by today's standards, but of course we know now that Aussie TV News draws the line at 3 hosts wearing white.
I need Julie to put a jacket on because we're all in white. I asked her before we came on. Julie, you need to put a jacket on.
Flat out, I haven't had time. Does someone...
Come on, I told you 2 hours ago. We know
Amber,
in chat room.
This is not... So I'm sorry, I've been flat out,
Well,
honestly.
I'll call wardrobe and we'll get something.
No,
there can't be 3 of us.
It's fascinating seeing the differences in how TV news was presented back then. For starters, 2 dudes. I think the last time I saw a news bulletin with 2 male anchors was on Adelaide's 9 News with Rob Kelvin and Kevin Crease. They finished in 2007. Most bulletins now just have the one newsreader, or if there are 2 of them, it'll be a man and a woman, or possibly 2 women, never 2 men. Those sausage fest days are well behind us. But one thing in newsrooms never goes out of style: puns.
Lions were on the prowl at Brisbane Airport today. Not the man-eating variety, but the service club genus that turned out in force to farewell the Governor-elect of District 201K. Mr Brian McGrath of Baden flew to Sydney today, where he will join 22 other district leaders before flying to America to be installed by the international president. Mr McGrath will be accompanied by his wife Betty, who is also an ardent worker on the Lions Women's Auxiliary.
They should take pride in that. Another staple of Aussie culture, complaining that any funding for the arts is a waste of taxpayer money.
The New South Wales Premier, Mr Lewis, today led an angry wave of outrage at the federal government's $1.6 million handout to the arts. Mr Lewis said the grants were the most ridiculous waste of public money he'd seen during his term in Parliament. He said it was ridiculous that the federal government should announce the grants at a time when the states were fighting for their existence. The grants, which were announced last night, include money for a Dahlia festival and $15,000 to a man who wants to compose computerised music.
Well, that'll never catch on. You can imagine the studio crew and all the blokes in the control room, and they would be blokes, chain-smoking their way through the broadcast. I'm surprised the hosts themselves aren't puffing away at the desk during the bulletin. You only need one hand to hold a script. But they did have reporters in the field too, with some stories coming in via satellite. A practice so unremarkable today, I can't remember the last time I saw the news actually point it out. Reporters closer to home, though, had to make do with 16mm film I assume had come in via station wagon.
Body contact has made its way back on the dance floor in a new craze that's sweeping the world, but it's not as romantic as it sounds. You could end up covered in bruises, as reporter Linda Scott found out.
Rock and roll, the jive, the twist and the stomp. Forget all that. There's a new dance craze now. It's called the bump. The craze started about 12 months ago in America, and American sailors brought it here. The local girls caught on pretty quick though, as Sandra King and Gertie Paiwan show you how to do it.
Ugh, bloody YouTube. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You know what it sounds like.
Well, it's different, and if you're young enough and got the energy, why not?
And the report just ends like that. No sign-off, no throwback to the studio. It's just straight into the next story.
World heavyweight boxing champion Muhammad Ali has arrived in the Malaysian capital of Kuala Lumpur to prepare for his title fight against Britain's Joe Bugner.
Ice in his veins, that guy. And on that note...
In just a moment, Channel 7 Eyewitness News continues when Carolyn brings you notes on the weather.
I would have thought she'd do a whole report, but I guess the notes will have to do. And they do appear to be handwritten.
Hello, here's the latest weather report for Friday the 13th, and it's presented by the makers of Spray Fresh. Before I go on with the temperature extremes over the state today, there's a strong wind warning current for all coastal areas along the Queensland coastline, and tonight winds will be from 25 to 30 knots, and these should continue for the next 24 hours, so I'm afraid it doesn't look like a good day for the coast at all tomorrow. Today's maximum reached 31 degrees, which was reported from Palmerville. And just to show you how cold it was last night, the minimum went down to -5 degrees at Bollen, just in here.
Yeah, that's really showing us, isn't it? Where's your satellite now, huh? Unlike the anchors at the desk, Caroline does appear to have an auto cue. Just the one on the camera, though. Modern weather people now also tend to have an additional auto cue off to the side at 90 degrees, which is alarmingly warm.
Saturday, unfortunately, some showers are going to develop in southern coastal areas, and Sunday and Monday should see these showers developing further along the coast to the central and northern coasts. Also, widespread frosts are forecast for the weekend, and there is a moderate to high fire danger for most inland areas. You got all that? Brisbane's temperatures today, they were serious. It dropped to 8 degrees last night. That increased to a high of 19 today, which was one cooler than what we did expect. The Ipswich area was 8, and that rose to... No, it was 6, sorry, and that rose to 19 degrees. Further south in Sydney, 0.6 of a millimetre of rain was recorded, with temperatures rising from 6 to 16 degrees. In Canberra last night...
It's strange not seeing the numbers labelled with max and min, but I guess everyone watching could figure it out if that was the standard practice. Anyone else get the feeling Brian and Mike were making funny faces at Caroline off screen?
Well, here's the bad news for Brisbane City. Fine at first, though cloudy, with a few showers developing tomorrow. And are you ready for this? Dropping to 7 degrees tonight, so you better turn your electric blankets on now. Going up to 16 during the day. We haven't had a day as cold as that.
Now, you may not be able to tell, but that's not a real TV she's standing in front of there. The map is real, but underneath that is a blue panel. You can see it on the edge of the wide shot there. And the other images and text are overlaid using a process called chroma key. Ubiquitous in television today, but pretty cutting edge for 1975. In fact, I think they were still figuring it out.
Unfortunately for the coast, showers developing tonight on the Gold Coast.
Whoops, someone spilt some ink on the page.
I don't think there'll be too many of you getting up in time for sunrise, but in case you're interested, it's at 6:36 a.m. Sunset tomorrow at 5 p.m. Despite the cold weather, enjoy the long weekend while you've got it. And after this break, we're going back to Brian and Mike. Good night.
Alright, let's look at some Aussie ads from 1975. And even though Australian television had been broadcasting in colour for more than 3 months, some of the commercials were still in black and white.
You can fix anything you want at Selleys Handyman Bar.
This is the greatest invention of them all, Selleys' incredible Handyman Bar. You know, you can find the solution to literally thousands of problems right here. See the Selleys Handyman Bar at your hardware store. It's our greatest invention ever because
you can fix anything you want at Selleys Handyman Bar.
Fun fact, up until 1970 in Queensland, women weren't allowed at the Selleys Handyman Bar. That was also the year Australia officially made the switch to the metric system, although imperial units lived on in certain aspects of Aussie life for some time yet.
We can't all live like this anymore, but you can still buy a little of this pure country freshness in every pound of butter. Pure, natural butter. The good taste of the country at your local supermarket.
Yeah, we can't all own a house or land anymore, but at least we can still afford a pound of butter. Barely. I think this next part of the country might be a little too fresh.
Visitors! Visitors!
When people from the big smoke come to our land, we greet them with a smile and a welcoming hand. City and country, what's in a name? In the eyes of Spray Fresh, they're one and the same. Visitors, visitors, scrub till you're sore, soaping and soaking and scrubbing some more, just to make sure that none of it's lost. We all got Spray Fresh, don't waste a wash. All got Spray Fresh, don't waste a wash.
The secret ingredient is chlorofluorocarbons. This is what happens when Queenslanders travel south of Coolangatta.
Great idea of yours to come south during winter.
Let's have some music. A little hot rock will warm me up.
That's very good, Brewster. If I could use my fingers, I'd make a note of it.
Some things, like penguins, are just naturally built for the cold.
The penguins and Brewsters.
Not so, however, with petrol. This is why the super shell you buy today is a special anti-stall winter formula. And stalling is not just a nuisance, it can be dangerous.
It can be pretty, too.
Shell winter formula prevents ice from building up in the carburetor by actually lowering the freezing point of the water vapour in the air. In this way, the flow of air and petrol vapour is not impaired when you're idling, and your engine does not stall as a result of icing. So, your drive to work is safer and more relaxing.
And more fun, too.
You've got a local street directory? Anti-stall winter formula.
Maybe. She got a sister?
It's the little extra you'd expect from Shell.
Have you got a local street directory? Maybe. Does she have a sister? Well, look, darling, I'm happy to help get your car back on the road, but I am afraid you will have to have sex with us both.
When they're the best around, you know you'll find them on 7, The Entertainers.
This ad has a cat.
Kitty cat time, eh, cat? That proves she really cares. Kitty cat has everything a cat needs for health, with all the extra goodness of molcrum. She really cares, cat.
Me and Mrs. Jones, we've got a thing going
makes him feel twice the get.
The extra goodness of what?
With all the extra goodness of molcrum.
Molcrum? What the hell is molcrum?
Foolish mortals, say hello to molcrum.
Lots of nutrients, I guess. As for this next ad, this doesn't seem very fab at all.
Sugar, yes. Coffee, yes.
And did you remember my washing powder?
Yes, I got you some lemon fab.
Fab?
It's great for whitening.
But I don't use Fab.
You should. With Fab, everything smells so fresh. You know, because Fab's lemon charged. With lemon fragrance.
Lemon charged? Oh, come now, you can't expect me to believe.
Fab is charged with lemon fragrance, and Fab White is lemon fresh.
She's wedged.
Drink driving can cost you your license for 9 months. That's a long time to wait for a bus.
Didn't realise Brisbane's public transport was that infrequent.
For my money, I'm riding my way.
With an Ira Berk Datsun, oh yeah, la 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 la.
Alright then. Datsun, the car of a new generation. At first I thought this was a promo for 7 News, but it's actually an ad with some state-of-the-art 1975 special effects.
Look, Chief! What? White tornado! What? White tornado down the street!
What a story!
Here we are. This'll make the front page.
In here!
Hang on, fellas, that's my Ajax liquid.
A white tornado in a bottle.
Yes, Ajax liquid. Smell.
Hey, strong ammonia.
Oh, Ajax liquid's got strong ammonia for heavy-duty cleaning and built-up corner grease. Ajax liquid cleans like a white tornado.
A white tornado in a bottle, Jimmy. That's Ajax liquid.
Strong ammonia. Yum. Cleans like a white tornado, huh? So anything not tied down gets scattered all over the neighbourhood? Some photographer too, taking a picture of the back of the Ajax bottle with the label covered by the lady's hand. Yeah, that'll look great on the front page. Well, that's it for another VHS review. If you'd like to watch the entire unedited 17-minute tape of this 1975 Brisbane News Bulletin, it's on the Internet Archive. I've put a link in the YouTube description. An extraordinary find. Thanks again, Rhys. See you next time.
Your bulletins on Saturday and Sunday will be presented by John Fleming and Karen Berkman. Mike and I will be back with 7 Eyewitness News and you on Monday night at 6 o'clock. Good night.
Good night, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. God bless.
That is all that we've got time for at ANZ Stadium, but do not flick the dial, do not go anywhere, because coming up next, it is North Melbourne taking on Essendon in a do-or-die elimination final.
And
Rex Hunt, thank you very much.
This has been a David M. Green production.
Whistle up a whip, whistle up a whip, whistle up a whip, whistle up a Cadbury caramel whip, whistle up a whip, whistle up a whip, whistle up a whip, whistle up a Cadbury caramel whip, whistle up a Cadbury caramel whip, caramel whip.
Well, can't see the harm in a traffic cop's whistle suddenly turning into a chocolate bar.
Whistle up a Cadbury caramel whip, whistle up a whip, whistle up a whip.